Arsenal just keep on winning. Against the PSV side who had scored 11 goals in their last 2, it was 0 at the Emirates Stadium, as Mikel Arteta's Arsenal dominated and Granit Xhaka smashed home the winner. But from Cody Gakpo's audition to Mikel Arteta's new tactics and the super strength of Bukayo Saka, let's break the game down and discuss the 5 things that we learnt from Arsenal 1, PSV 0. Yo, what is going on guys? My name is Bavis14 and welcome back to your boys channel. Arsenal are confirmed on their way to the knockout stages of the Europa League. So smash a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and help your boy on his road to 130,000 subscribers. But starting off with Gabriel Jesus is a cheat code. For the first ever time in a competitive game, Mikel Arteta started both Gabriel Jesus and Eddie Nketiah in the same team. And Gabriel Jesus is a striker that is accustomed to playing in the Champions League. So when Mikel Arteta gives him his first ever start in the Europa League, you can see straight away that this guy is a level above. A 7.9 overall rating with 3 shots on target, 2 successful dribbles, 19 accurate passes, 3 key passes, 1 accurate long ball, and 2 big chances created. He causes so many issues, the strength is there, the power is there, but the main attribute is his dribbling. This year Gabriel Jesus I think is the second highest in the Premier League in terms of dribbles attempted. Arteta has given Jesus a different level of freedom, and he has unlocked a beautiful player from inside, a player that when given the ball and given trust is just such a nuisance for the opposition defence. Starting a player of this quality in the Europa League is definitely some sort of cheat code. But also on fire in the front three was Bukayo Saka with an 8.4 overall rating, 49 touches, 22 accurate passes, 5 key passes, 4 crosses, 1 long ball, 3 big chances created, 3 shots on target, and 5 out of 5 successful dribbles. The creativity in the final third is nothing new, but we need to understand what this guy is being fed, because the way this guy is so strong on the ball, the way he's able to knock off defenders, hold the ball up, and finding a way out of tight scenarios, it's somewhat of a joke of how good he is. If I'm being petty, the only thing I can think of that Saka has to improve upon is being more decisive in front of goal and being more clinical in terms of finishing. And after the game, when Mikel Arteta was asked on Saka's game time, he says, look at the top players in the world, they play 70 matches. Every 3 days you have to do that. If we put something different in their minds, I think it would be a huge mistake. You see, this year Arsenal are in the Europa League, which means Arsenal in most games can rotate. But next year, if Arsenal are in the Champions League, where the quality of opposition is a lot better, Arsenal will not be afforded the same opportunity to rotate. With Arsenal fans that have the ambition of reaching the level of Man City, a team that competes in every single competition. Your top players like Kevin De Bruyne, Mo Salah, these guys have had seasons where they have played 60-70 games for club and country combined. So essentially Mikel Arteta is customizing Saka, so he is ready for what the future has to offer. Moving on to the second thing, and that is utter domination. 1-0 to the Arsenal suggests a close game, but my friends of the channel that love our expected goals, that says something different, as Arsenal had 2.80 to PSV 0.34. 1 goal might have been the difference, but in every single aspect Arsenal were dominant. As you guys can see, 25 shots, 62% of the ball, 544 passes completed, 87% of the field tilt, 85 final third entries, and a 4.0 expected threat created. Just have a look at this field tilt. Wave after wave of Arsenal attack. This graphic is a definition of sustaining pressure. But in terms of the formations, Mikel Arteta actually made a little change, as the passing network shows, with Xhaka and Lokonga playing as a pivot. It looks like a bit of a 4-4-2. A little shout out to the Europa League Beckenbauer in Rob Holding, who made the most passes out of any Arsenal player today, and also a cheeky 9 long balls. He's not quite the calibre of Saliba or Gabriel or Ben White, but in the Europa League up against teams like PSV, credit where it's due, he is doing a decent little job. And we have to appreciate that PSV are a good team. Only 1 point off the top in the Eredivisie, 11 goals in the last 2 games, with the likes of Xavi Simons and Cody Gakpo on fire, but in this specific game, these guys were nowhere to be seen. This game was another example of the dominance that Arsenal have at the Emirates Stadium, and Arsenal have now won their last 10 games in a row at the Emirates Stadium. It's another step in the right direction of Arsenal becoming a truly elite team. Liverpool and Man City have made their home stadiums fortresses. Right in front of our eyes, we are seeing the Emirates become likewise. Moving on to the third thing, and that is the new role for Granit Xhaka, the Arsenal goal scorer, the Arsenal match winner, who smashed home a fantastic goal on his weaker right foot. Xhaka has now scored as many goals for Arsenal this season with 3 than he has in his last 3 seasons combined, and playing as a number 8 Its goal scoring and creativity have become a part of Xhaka's game this season. But as you guys saw in terms of the passing networks, Xhaka wasn't playing as an out-and-out number 8. And even in terms of his heat map, there were two separate parts to Xhaka's game, as he started the game in a midfield pivot alongside Sambi Lokonga, and Kieran Tierney was playing high and wide on the left-hand side, but very quickly that changed. As the game progressed and as Arsenal's need for a goal increased, the more we saw of Granit Xhaka getting forwards. With an overall 7.6 rating, as well as a goal, he had 81 touches, 59 accurate passes, 3 key passes, 3 accurate long balls, 1 shot on target, 2 shots off target and 1 shot blocked. I never thought I'd see the day, but Granit Xhaka has become an important part to the Arsenal attack. That is why in this game, even though he started at a midfield pivot, he had to get forward, as in that final third his choice of pass and his very surprising ability to attack the box, as shown with his goal, is becoming a trademark part of Xhaka's game. And as Xhaka says on his goal, "I'm in this position now for the last couple of weeks, and I'm so happy the ball came, and happy I scored." It may well be a new position for Xhaka, but it's a position where he looks very natural. Now Kieran Tierney was a player playing very high and wide, and he was almost back into his natural position. But the fact that Mikel Arteta chose not to play him as an inverted fullback, I think is a bit worrying going into the future for Tierney's hopes of starting. We're still not quite sure when Zinchenko is going to return, but the fact that Arteta took off Tomiyasu with 15 minutes left of the game, if Zinchenko is not fit, then who is starting as a left back against Southampton? Is it Tierney or is it Tomiyasu? A quick word on Albert Sambi Lokonga. Now in terms of pass completion, it was around 89%, which is perfectly fine. But my concern about Sambi Lokonga is he seems like a player that lacks a lot of confidence, and on the ball we are seeing a Sambi that is not imposing himself like I know he can do. And why that concerns me is because he is our direct backup for Thomas Partey. Recently he's been speaking a lot in interviews, and as Arsenal fans I think we are seeing a Sambi Lokonga that is playing very contained. Comment down below your honest thoughts on Albert Sambi Lokonga. Moving on to the fourth thing, and that is Cody Gakpo pocketed. 18 games, 13 goals, 11 assists, the most goal contributions out of any player in Europe, coming out at the Emirates Stadium as the captain of PSV, in form as ever. This was meant to be Cody Gakpo's audition, but let's just say he wasn't that impressive, managing only 34 touches all game. We didn't see any of the dribbling, any of the power. I don't think he managed a single shot on goal, forget a shot on target. And playing in front of Mikel Arteta and the Arsenal fans, he spent most of the game pocketed by Takehiro Tomiyasu. It was a really passive performance, and for the reported price tag of £50 million, I think today was an eye-opener for many Arsenal fans that Gakpo is crazy form in the Eredivisie, but up against a top team like Arsenal Football Club and a top defender in Tomiyasu, Gakpo still has a lot to prove. If anything, PSV's best attacker on the day was definitely Xavi Simons, who created 2 chances, had 19 passes and 3 out of 3 dribbles. He came through La Masia, and at 19 years of age he is a very impressive talent, but to any Arsenal fans eyeing up a transfer, he's also a player that has a buyback clause on his contract back to Paris Saint-Germain. But your boy was also impressed by the PSV midfielder in Ibrahim Sangare, made 2 tackles, 3 accurate long balls and won 6 out of 7 ground duels. He's definitely a very imposing player on the pitch and great in terms of duels, and he can play as a number 6, a player that Chelsea tried to sign on transfer deadline day. And I've seen a few fans say he plays like Thomas Partey, but if anything for me, he plays like a younger version of Thomas Partey, someone who I believe is still a little bit raw on the ball. But if you were given the chance to sign one player out of PSV, comment down below what player would that be. Moving on to the fifth thing, good old 1-0 to the Arsenal. To the Arsenal 1-0, the famous chant around the Emirates Stadium. It's how George Graham won so many of his titles, and it's how Arsenal have won all 3 of their last games. It's definitely been a bit of a grind, but 3 games, 3 wins, 3 clean sheets. Talking of clean sheets, that is now 3 in 4 Europa League appearances for Matt Turner. And in terms of Matt Turner on the ball, we have seen a bit of a drastic improvement in the past few games. He seems more and more comfortable, and most importantly, a lot more confident. But more importantly, in the Europa League, with this win, Arsenal have moved to 12 points, 5 points clear of second place PSV, and with an 8-point difference to Bodo Glimt in third, Arsenal have secured the qualification to the knockout stages of the Europa League. Fantastic scenes, but next up for Arsenal is securing first place in the group, and all they need is 1 point out of the next 2 games against PSV away and FC Zurich at home. Arsenal will automatically progress to the last 16, and more importantly skipping a playoff game against a dropping down Champions League team. season. In a season full of so many games, if Arsenal could avoid the prospect of playing 2 extra ones, that would be gargantuan. And next up, Arsenal play Southampton away. Then it's PSV away, 2 home games against Forest and Zurich, an away game against Chelsea, a Carabao Cup game at home against Brighton, and Wolves away as our final game before the World Cup. Quite a few games away from home, which is never easy, but with the form that Arsenal in, which is spectacular, unbeaten in Europe, top of the Premier League, 25 goals scored, 10 conceded and 5 clean sheets. Mikel Arteta is able to manage his team correctly and make the right changes and keep his key players fit. Arsenal right now are the most informed team in Europe, with 13 wins out of a possible 14. A 93% win rate is the highest out of any team in Europe. But this Sunday it's going to be a massive physical test. The likes of Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Magalhaes, Bukayo Saka all played a majority of this game. To go to St Mary's up against a Hasenhüttl team that is actually very similar in terms of leads when it comes to being aggressive in that final third and pressing intensity, that Thursday-Sunday turnaround can be very hard. So let's see how this Arsenal team copes. But that's the video there and there, so hopefully you have enjoyed. And if you have, make sure to go down there, smash a like and subscribe if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was the 5 things that we learnt from Arsenal 1 PSV 0, the famous 1-0 to the Arsenal. It's a grind, but it is top of the Europa League, it's top of the Premier League, and it's beautiful scenes at the Emirates Stadium. I'll see you next time, take care and in a bit.